Hello and welcome to the Basement Podcast. That is Peanut Tillman, and I am Mike Brown, or Nathan Vasher,
I was gonna
or
say Nathan Basher.
there were a lot of good
Mike
DBs.
Brown's a good drop too, but I
Mike
think
Brown was
Nathan
like the
Basher.
he
Well,
he was the
Mike
famous.
Brown was a safety, wasn't? But I think Nathan Basher might have played safety as well. Was Nathan Basher the opposite corner of Peanut?
No, he was like the nickel corner, except when
Yeah.
whoever got hurt filled in.
Yeah.
But like, well, actually, you know what? Changed mind. That is Brian Urlacher, and I am Lance Briggs.
That
That's
one's
maybe a bit,
easy.
maybe that's a better.
That one's easy. Yeah. Who did I mistake this past year? I dropped oh yeah, Nathan Basher's out there.
I have no DeLon Wright or whoever.
I don't know
I don't
anybody's
even know
name.
if DeLon
I'm
Wright is.
still living. All of the Bears to me, it's just, oh, you're this guy on like the
No,
2018.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's all they are to
yeah.
me. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're
Nathan
going
Basher,
around.
dude.
We're going
Yeah,
around
yeah,
pointing. There's Rosie Colvin. There's Tommy
yeah.
Harris.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
There's Adewale Agoulier. I think Adewale.
Who was the big old like tub of lard defensive tackle in the middle? Was it Tank Johnson?
Tank was on the team for a little while, yeah, but Tank. I don't think that's who you're referring to, but it might have been. There was, I mean, Tommy Harris was. They're all big guys. I don't know.
Tommy Harris played D end. He
No,
was
he didn't.
big,
No, he
but
did
he was like
not.
just a mammoth of a man.
No, Tommy Harris was definitely an interior defensive lineman. It was the front line. The front line was Adewale Agoulier, Tank
Yeah.
Johnson, Tommy Harris, and then Alex Brown. That was the four. They played a 4-3
I
defense.
thought Tommy played defensive end because what didn't he come from Penn State?
He did, but he was the interior defensive lineman. They played a
Did you like
4-3.
my logic on that? It's like, no, no, no. He had to be defensive end because he came from Penn State. Like
Terrible
that's like
logic. It's terrible logic. Par for the course from you. Terrible logic. We are
yeah.
broadcasting this week. As you may tell, I'm in a little bit of a different spot. We're going to be going through some changes over the next weeks, over the next few weeks, over the next
We're
few months,
remodeling around here.
likely for the next few years. This is just going to be an
Yeah.
ever evolving thing. In the
Yeah.
podcast world, they say like, "Oh, have a stable set, have like the same set so people get familiar."
No.
We don't care. We're going to
Keep
keep
people on their
changing.
toes.
We're going to keep changing it
Keep
up
people
on
on their
you.
toes. That is our motto.
So yeah, I'm in one of our offices over the Legends Attic, one of our Legends Attic offices, and I'm gonna be changing some things on the set. So this is gonna be I'm gonna go over to Prague and help Andy set up his set. So this is gonna be an
Whoa,
ever
I'm on my way. Do you notice the new mic stand?
wow.
That came in the mail yesterday.
Well,
So I won't be knocking over the. No, I'll probably still knock over the mic because I do that once an episode where it's just I'm gesticulating wildly and there goes the mic. I'm like, oh crap.
that was
But
actually that
yeah, I
was
can't
actually
do that
comedic.
anymore. Now it's just gonna be like the boom mic's just gonna be swinging all over the place here, but a little more stable.
No, that was actually comedic. I was gonna cut a little
You like
social clip of every single time you knocked over the mic.
compilation of me really like no, and there's this and there's this and then like you can't hear a word I'm saying because I muted it and I'm
Yeah.
trying to stabilize it again. That was always a good time.
Missed opportunities for entertainment now that we're advancing in tech. We are
Yeah,
broadcasting this week from a closet in the Cancun airport.
yeah, we are.
Why we're there is because a couple of years ago, maybe five, maybe six, they all blend together. So I'm not really
Yeah, it
sure
was about 10 years ago,
yeah,
but
when that
sure.
ever
Okay.
happened. But
Yeah.
we teased a couple of weeks ago when we told Andy getting beaten up by an escalator story.
Manhandled.
Another
Yeah.
story about a travel incident that we had had. And it was in Cancun, and now we're going to tell that story. We're going to make good on a promise for the first time in this show.
Yeah.
And you're welcome because this story is awesome. Andy, why don't you tee it up for us?
Okay, here we go. Well, I'm going to tee it up and I'm going to launch it here. Okay. So my very first year teaching abroad, 2016, I am teaching in Maracaibo, Venezuela. Have 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off, usually for a Christmas break. And I say to Adam, it's like, hey, why don't we meet up somewhere like in the middle? You're living in California, me in Venezuela. Why don't we meet up somewhere in like Central America and chill during Christmas break? And so we decided
Real
to
quick
meet in
interjection. Real quick
go.
interjection. This is not Andy's first year abroad. He forgets that he also taught in Korea.
But I was in Korea.
Technically,
Sorry.
that
Sorry.
was
I
his
was in
first
Korea,
year
but I'm
abroad.
saying like the first. So Korea was like a right after college, didn't have a job. Let's go teach English, which is now the equivalent of like backpacking across Europe is I'll go teach English somewhere in Asia. So I did that right after college and then I went back to the States. And then this is like the first year teaching abroad of like real teaching.
Yeah.
And my first year of now it's been sustained and I'm an international teacher and I've been doing that for a decade now. Okay. So we decide, hey, let's do Cancun. And for me, it's not really in the middle. I mean, for Adam, you had a direct flight, I'm assuming, from LA. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, the flight path to get out of Venezuela at that point in time, there's only really two or three flights out. You could there three at that point in time until they started getting rid of them because Venezuela is Venezuela. There was a flight on Copa to Panama. There was a flight to Aruba, I believe on Aruba Air, and then there was a flight to Miami on American Airlines. Now, to get to Cancun, I actually had to go to Miami, then go to Charlotte, North Carolina, then go to Cancun. So this was not meeting in the middle. This was me flying all over like Eastern, like Eastern seaboard. What is the phrase I'm saying? Like the eastern side of the United States, right there. Then flying all the way west again to go to the Yucatan Peninsula in Cancun
I
or
believe they call it
Cancun there, and then
I believe they call it the East
Eastern.
Coast.
Why do I want to say like Eastern starboard? I am just.
You sound
I sound
ridiculous
like
right
I
now.
am dumb.
It is called the Eastern Coast or the Eastern Seaboard or I-95.
What did you?
That's
The Eastern
seaboard.
seaboard.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the phrase I was looking for.
The
We're
East
moving on.
Coast.
Nobody cared. This is the worst opening ever. We're going to get to this is a really good story that I am now just butchering. Point being, I
Again,
got to
per usual.
fly American Airlines, Maracaibo, Venezuela to Miami, Miami to Charlotte, Charlotte to Cancun. I believe there were storms in Miami. Land in Miami, can't get into Cancun until the next morning. So I'm going to sleep in the Miami airport, whatever, it's fine. Go to Charlotte, fly into Charlotte, or fly into Charlotte that early morning, whatever, late night, whatever it would have been at that point in time. Cancun, still get there like fairly early in the day. And I got to wait for Adam because he's actually coming in the day later. So I arrive in Cancun. I'm waiting for my bag at the carousel and doesn't come out. Like, whatever. Okay, there was some flight stuff that probably okay, it's okay. Fill out the paperwork, and somebody at the airport says, hey, they'll give you a call like as soon as your bag is ready. It should be coming in either tonight or early tonight. Somebody's going to give me a call. Okay, so like that's fine, whatever. I go to the hotel, and I'm just waiting around. I mean, I got nothing to do. It's Cancun. It's like, all right, at a hotel, kind of on the beach, whatever. I'll walk around a little bit, getting bored. Adam's not there. I'm just kind of by myself. I'm also have to wait around by or kind of around the hotel because I need Wi-Fi to get a call through my WhatsApp. So it's like, all right, just staying around the hotel, just walking around doing nothing. I don't hear anything from American Airlines. It's 6 o'clock at night. They said somebody's going to call me. It's like, okay, whatever. So I call their customer support. And I get put on the phone with this very nice gentleman. And he's like, all right, basic information. What's your name, flight number, whatever it would be. It's like, okay. You hear him clicking on the keyboard, computer, like classic, like, click, 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 click. It's like meet the parent stuff, click, 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 click. And he goes, I think he says my name is like Andrew Borzan. Yeah. Silence. Nobody called you yet? No, man. So I'm calling you. He goes, nobody called to let you know. Like, what? He goes, this is my favorite line of the whole thing. He goes, I shouldn't be the one telling you this. I shouldn't be the one telling you this. And immediately my ears perk up and I kind of get a, huh? He goes, it says here your bag has been destroyed. And I just go, destroyed? And I start laughing. I just go, what do you mean destroyed? He goes, I don't know. Man, I've only been working here 6 months. This has only happened like one other time where I've seen this. I'm not the person who should be handling this. Like the last time, he's like trying to like cover it, kind of like be like, dude, I'm not the guy for this. It's like, I only seen this one other time, bag fell off the belt and got run over everything. So like I don't know what it means. It's like, okay. He's like, yeah, somebody should be calling you or whatever. Like, okay. So all I know is like my bag has been destroyed. Somebody from American Airlines finally gets in touch with me, the person who's supposed to get in touch with me, other than this other guy who's apparently this is not his job. And they're like, yeah. We're gonna like, yes, there was an accident with your bag. We will send the remains of your bag, what they were able to salvage after my bag has been destroyed. And they were going to send it along on the next flight out of Charlotte, which was the following morning. Worked out fine because Adam was flying in the next morning. I'll just go pick up Adam, pick up the remains of my stuff, and we'll go on from there. Have a great time in Mexico. Get there the next morning, pick up Adam, go to the American Airlines office, which, as Adam mentioned, it is a closet. This American Airlines office that we have to sit in is literally a 2 by 2 foot space that we are just cramped into. It's like, all right, it's fine. So it's like, hey, they said they were sending the remains of my luggage. Great, sit down. We'll get to you in a second. We were in this place for what, 2 hours? We were there a very long time.
We were there a while, and it was pretty close. Go ahead.
I mean, we're passing the time. We're playing cards. We're having a good time. We haven't seen each other in a while, so whatever. We're fine. We're chilling. A lady about an hour and a half in, if I remember correctly, about an hour and a half in, one of the ladies goes, "Oh, your stuff is here. Let me go get your stuff." All right, that's fine. She's gone for half an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. When she returns, she is carrying, no joke, I am not making this up, nor can you make this up. She is carrying an urn.
She's carrying a box.
An urn is what she did. And it's about yay big.
Yeah.
And Adam and I just both look and go, what? I had a big old duffel bag. And I think I said out loud, I go, is that my stuff?
I think we saw her walk in with the box, and the funny thing was how she carried it. She did carry it with she was carrying it with like reverence, like she was holding it out. Look at this,
yeah,
Mike going wild.
It is the ashes of something, which would be my stuff, and I almost knocked my microphone over here. It's on a mic stand. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened to my bag?
Yeah,
like what happened where they had to burn it, and there are now ashes in this urn? What is going on? So yeah, I'm like, is that my stuff? No, your stuff's coming in. They finally wheel in the tattered remains of my duffel bag, which end up being like a strip of fabric and then just a mangled like strap. That I was like,
yeah.
What on earth happened?
I seem to remember only getting the strap and it being attached to a very small tatter of bag, and everything else was gone.
This thing was attacked by a pack of Wolverines, and it didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
There were a few things that were salvageable. Like I got a few shirts back. I believe I had like a pair of glasses in there. Those were gone. Like a lot of stuff was just like, yeah, that was destroyed. To this day, they never explained what happened. Like it was just like, yeah, fill out this report. Here's your stuff, the remains of your stuff. Fill out this little report and we'll kind of like compensate you for everything that was destroyed. Okay. But to this day, I have no idea That thing literally fell in a jet engine and came out the other side, is what it was. As they were loading it into the hull, into the belly of the plane, some guy just slung it. And it was like one of those whoof, went through the jet engine and just destroyed everything.
That's probably what happened. Although
Yeah.
this so again, Andy has just an incredible track record with travel
This
accidents.
is
But
one of many travel stories that just show I am a very unlucky human being. Yeah.
yeah, I think that one in particular, like while we were having fun at the time. Like it wasn't even
Oh
that
yeah, it was
it wasn't
like it was great. Nobody, I wasn't mad. It was more of like
we're
a
yeah,
like
we're
running
pretty
the line in my
lighthearted.
head. I shouldn't be the one to tell you this, but it says here your
Well,
bag has been
that begs the
destroyed.
question. That begs the question: who is the right person to tell? Like, where is he on the totem
Yeah,
pole? I guess he probably thought like a manager should call and break this news, and he's just
yeah.
like a regular customer service guy. But yeah, between that line, I shouldn't be the one to tell you this, and then the woman coming in with the small box very reverently, and us looking at each other going, "I think that's it."
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, so that is the Cancun story. Again, we'll have plenty of stories to come from Andy's travels, but man, is he a walking disaster when he goes to an
I
airport.
am. If I'm able to stay upright, as the escalator story suggests, I'm not always able to do that. Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Well, on to the show. We're gonna take another lap around the world of sports, and then we're gonna after the break in the third half of today's show, we're gonna talk about
Mm.
more financial stuff when it
There we
relates to
go. Eastern
sports,
Seaboard. I couldn't do it
Eastern
either.
Seaboard, and
I'm gonna be
financial
stuck
stuff.
on that one. How did I not? I couldn't come to that was that was a Magoo McGregor moment right there. Which can I drop that she's been really struggling lately. She wanted to do a
Do
piece
not talk poorly about my future wife.
about your future wife. Oh,
Do
I
not
know. I know.
the angel, the apple
Yeah.
of my eye. Go ahead.
She
Say your negative things
there
about her.
the Cubs are in Arizona as we speak. And she wanted to do a segment about how PCA goes out if he's playing in kind of a newer park. One of the first things that he does when they get there is like just shag flies in the outfield, just kind of see how center field plays, how the outfield plays. Just yeah, that makes sense. Like get oriented to what's going on, all the different nooks and crannies, the different ballparks. So he goes out to Arizona, and there's two in Arizona. It's a fairly deep center, and then there's like two porches that are oddly situated to the both the right of center and left of dead center as well. And so what she wanted, no, well, I'll tell you what she said. She goes, so he went out there to take reflections off the porch. And I went, what? To take reflections off the porch? It's and I'm going, what, like the sun? Like there's like light reflecting, or is he out there with a journal taking reflections off the? She obviously means deflections, and she
What
just
was it?
can't say the right word.
What did she say last week? What was the thing that she said about
Oh,
Pedro and
we
Nico
just gotta
Horner?
play that one. That one cannot be like I can't even do that one justice. Is just a classic. Like when we like you just have to find it and play it because nobody. She just stops in the middle of a word because she can't say it. She
I
tries
can't
to
even remember.
and then she makes
Inner
a noise. Huh!
and Boog jumps in and says, "Yeah, we'll get that word later."
Yeah, boom. Yeah, we're gonna figure out that word later because she just makes the sound.
Now, for all of you listening, we love. Okay, I love Magoo McGregor. She's grown on me, and for all of you thinking, "Hey, Adam and Andy, you guys aren't the best at pronunciation." See
No, I
earlier in
can't get
this
out the Eastern
episode,
Seaboard.
hey, maybe those
It's
two.
not my job, though. Actually, it is my job to talk, but whatever. I'm not getting paid as a media personality to
No,
say words on camera
no.
until this podcast makes it huge and we become millionaires. But I don't got to get my act together until then.
Those who live
She
in
is a
what's the
paid
saying?
professional.
What's the saying? Those who live in glass houses can cast the first stone.
Let's throw stones.
We live in
Absolutely.
we live in glass houses and we
Yes,
throw
we do.
stones regardless. Like
Yes.
we're throwing stones. We're throwing stones at each other. We're throwing stones at other people. We don't care. We're throwing stones. Let's go.
Oh my gosh.
Love Taylor McGregor. Taylor, come on the show and then marry me.
Glad somebody does. Yeah, come on the show. Let's see how far you can get into the segment. But she like you can just tell like her motor just runs out. Like she just gets tired. That
Well,
one segment where she dropped the "Ugh,"
I think
like
she's
she was actually humming along. She was fine. And then you can just see, oh no, the wheels are coming off.
I think she's breathing better. I think she's breathing better. I think
I don't
earlier in her
know.
career
Nothing
she
is
had some
better. Nothing is better.
okay, well, I tried to give her something.
Can't wait to give the toast at your future wedding, by the way.
Oh, it's going to be good. All right, let's get
Yeah.
into another Cubs related incident from last night's game. Quentin Berry. There was a disagreement. Andy, why don't you go ahead and get into what happened during the Cubs Diamondbacks
Yeah,
game
believe it was
yesterday?
about so the Quentin Berry is the Cubs third base coach. Good third base coach. Q does a good job. In the I think it was the fifth inning, Merrill Kelly is pitching for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and there is a runner on second, maybe Michael Conforto, Michael Bush, somebody was on second. And it was seen Quentin Berry did something with his left hand, seemingly to signal to the runner on second that a certain pitch was going to be thrown so that the runner on second could kind of signal to the hitter, hey, this is the pitch that's going to be thrown. It seemed as if either the Arizona dugout caught on to this or Merrill Kelly himself, because Merrill Kelly actually stepped off and just started staring at Quentin Berry, the third base coach for the Cubs. At that point in time, a spat ensues between Quentin Berry and the Arizona dugout, and then both dugouts start shouting at each other. Some words we can't repeat on this family-friendly show being shouted, but you can tell that neither dugout was happy with the other one. Really, what the Arizona Diamondbacks dugout was saying is, "Hey, your coach cannot be relaying to his guys that a pitcher is throwing a certain pitch." After the game, Merrill Kelly said, I'm cool with if the players are picking up my pitches, if I have a tell and guys between the lines are able to read that, pick that up, and take advantage of that, that's on me. And that's totally fair. That type of gamesmanship is part of the game. It has been a part of baseball forever. What Merrill Kelly said was not cool is the coaches doing this. I think he dropped the line, some middle-aged guy who's like getting joy from trying to pick up pitches of the opponent of the opposing team or whatever. He said that's what's not cool. So where do you stand on this? First of all, I think we're on the same page. I'm going to assume you're on the same. Yes, you cannot tip your pitches, and if you're tipping your pitches, the other team should take advantage of that, but the team it's okay for the players to do this. That's just part of the game. Okay. Seeking any edge, seeking any margin you can exploit, part of the game, and pitch tipping is part of this. Are you okay with a coach doing this? Somebody's on the bench, a first base coach, a third base coach, somebody who's on the field, not in between the lines. Are you okay with a coach picking up signs, picking up something on the field and relaying it to his players mid-game? Is that fair foul? Is what Quentin Berry did for the Cubs okay?
Well, first of all, is Merrill Kelly saying like in between the lines they have to be on the field? Because like there are players in the dugout who look for tells and look for signals and try to steal signs. What does he mean by it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't matter because my answer is not going to change regardless.
My understanding is kind of like you're a player. Now, I think maybe specifically he's talking about you got to be like playing, you got to be actually like in the batter's box, you got to be out in the field. Maybe that's what he means, but at the very minimum, he means you are a player. You are not a coach.
Yeah, I disagree 100%. I disagree 100%. They are wearing uniforms. They are on the team. Their coaches are on the team too. And
Yeah.
they have a history of being in the game, presumably. They have
Managers used
knowledge
to
of being
play.
in the game. Like
Yeah.
that part of some of why they get hired is their experience. Like, no, they're
Quentin Berry's a former
definitely
player.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're definitely, it's definitely okay for them to steal signs. It's definitely okay for them, for everybody on the team. If you're wearing a uniform, you're looking for advantages to win the game. And if somebody's tipping their pitches, why, by the way, like what is stopping Q from going over to a player going, hey, why, look for this signal because Merrill Kelly's tipping his pitches?
Yeah.
Like, what does it matter? What does it matter? That's my stance is
I
no, coaches can definitely do this.
I think I'm on the same page as you. I think this is okay. I'm kind of going, dude, it's on Merrill Kelly.
Yeah.
Like you just can't tip your pitches. Like that's
Yeah.
just part of it. It's part of the game. It always has been. Coaches are there for a reason. Actually, they are there to find this kind of stuff. Where is your advantage? Again, where are the margins that you can exploit? That's what a coach is there for. And if they do see a guy as tipping pitches, there's really no difference between them going up to the guy and be like, look for this, or hey, we got a sign. Hey, he's throwing a slider. Hey, he's throwing a changeup kind of thing. That's what coaches are there for. I think I'm in agreement with you on this one. And this is not us defending our boy. This isn't like,
No.
oh, the Cubs coach did it, so it's okay. That is not what we are at all. That's not what we would do. Like, no, if Quentin Berry was in the wrong here, I'd be like, dude was wrong, should not be doing that. In this situation, I don't care who it is. I think the coaches are part of the game. This is what they're paid for. Find areas you can exploit. This was one of them.
I always
Merrill
do
Kelly,
think,
stop tipping your pitches.
yeah, this is definitely a Merrill Kelly problem. But the thing that I always think about too is, you know, there's gamesmanship in the game, right? And that's obviously part of it. But then there's transactional stuff. So a manager or a coach goes to a rival team. I always thought that that was whenever I saw those type of transactions, or let's say, the Vikings cut a quarterback, the Bears then
Pick them
sign
up that
sign that
same week
backup
that they're playing
quarterback.
the Vikings. Yeah.
Right. And so it's one of these things of like institutional now. I always value institutional knowledge. And if you can get a leg up, like Craig Counsell and Pat Murphy, I'm sure have things that they know about each other, that they tendencies
Of
and
course.
and maybe even signs that they know from being managers together or being on the same coaching staff. I always think that that stuff is really valuable. And I don't know how big of a factor it is necessarily in professional sports, but I'm not going to say it's nothing. I'm not going to say it's nothing when a player goes from the Packers to the Lions. I'm not going to say it's nothing when like I mean, there are reasons why these guys get signed by rival teams, and I don't think it's just because they have a hole in their roster. I think it's like, well, what if they have some
No,
knowledge from
right.
that team?
I keep coming back to the phrase you are looking for any margin to exploit. And if it is that little bit of knowledge, that one little thing, sure, bring them aboard just for the week, just so you can get a little bit more of an edge. Yeah. And that's what teams do. And that's what they should be doing.
Yeah. So what is why were you hesitant to like I think I'm on board. What is the hesitation?
And maybe there might be something to Merrill Kelly being like, no, like this is fine amongst the players. Let the players do this kind of stuff. I do want. I don't know. I don't know. It's like a honor amongst thieves kind of thing, and the thieves are the guys on the field actually playing the game. So, but no,
Well, does it
there
change
might be a little bit to that, but no, I think generally it's no. The coaches are there for a reason, like I said.
does it change at all for sports? I mean, obviously this was a big thing for the University of Michigan. Um, they definitely
No,
broke the
that's straight up
rules. That's
cheating.
cheating. That's like Bill Belichick.
That's not gamesmanship.
No, no, no.
That's cheating.
But would it change at all? Let's say that aren't there you can steal signs or you can steal play calls within the rules, or you know isn't that allowed in football and basketball? Like, would you would you get mad at a coach for picking up play calls from the sideline?
No, no, I mean, no, you again, it's on the team, it's on the coach, it's on the player to obfuscate, to make it not obvious. That's just part of the game. So I'm fine with all the, like, I shouldn't say fine with all the attempts for sign stealing, or what the Astros did was cheating. What Michigan did, like, yes, there are some lines that need to be drawn, but again, there's a little bit, the onus is a little bit on the person delivering the sign, let's say,
Right.
to do some sort of obfuscation where they can hide the meaning of what they're trying to communicate. That's just part of sports. You have to do better at communicating so only your guys know what's being said.
And remind me, I think I got this right. Ryan Dempster, his whole glove twitching,
The
that was
flip thing, yeah.
that was all to hide signs. Like he felt before he started doing that, he was tipping his pitches. And the only reason that he
I did
started
not know
doing,
this.
I think they
I
told the
didn't know
story.
this.
I think they told the story a couple times on the broadcast of Ryan Dempster. If you know, go look it up on the YouTube. He had a very distinct like glove twitch or rotation every single time he threw a pitch. And the reason that he started doing that is because he felt that he was tipping his pitches. And so he would start to do this with his glove to hide what pitch he was about to throw. I think that
Yeah.
was the only reason why he developed that movement. So, um, yeah, I always love to hear these stories about Stein stealing. I mean, again, not, you're right. Not everything is within the bound. Like, yes, Astros definitely cheated, but,
Yeah.
uh,
I'm not sitting here defending everything. And if you were to ask me, Andy, what are your lines? It's I know them when I see them
pretty
kind of thing.
blurry.
The
What do you-
Astros cheated.
Well, there was
That's a
a
line.
again going
What
back to
Quentin Berry was doing, that's who cares? Whatever.
it was either George Will or Tim Kirkshin. I mean, those are the only two writers that I read like their baseball books. But they one of the two had some good stories about ancient sign stealing. There was one that was flashing a bulb on like the old timey scoreboard to
Nice.
signify they
Yeah.
were doing the Astro thing before the Astros. They didn't
Yeah.
use trash cans, but they had cameras in center field and they would flash a bulb on the scoreboard. So I mean, there's a long history to this, and there are some funny stories out there. But
I
Q,
believe we had discussed, when every time we talk about our spring training scripts or screenplay here, I think I floated the idea once of like having what is seemingly a fan out in center field sending signals
Hmm,
to the team about everything,
yeah.
about this guy's stealing, this is the pitch, everything like that. And then he's always in the clubhouse eating the food, and people are like, who is this guy? He's just part of the team. He masquerades as just a super fan, but really he's the brains behind the entire operation.
Of course, well, we would make it so that he has binoculars. I mean, the less obvious
Yes.
thing would be he'd be like a professional photographer, one of those giant lenses,
Right.
so
No,
he could
just
zoom in.
binoculars,
No,
but
we
there's
want
an elaborate
binoculars.
system. We haven't fully fleshed this part of the script out, but it's like one bite of a hot dog, that's curveball.
Well, we could tie in birding. We could tie in bird photography, and like
Oh,
he could do some.
perfect.
He could do
I'm
different
in.
bird signals
Yeah.
for different pitches. I think that
Yeah.
might be the path we go down, just because they say write what you know, and Andy is a birder, so let's go. Let's lean into that.
Love it.
Some other news in the world of sports. A CTE report came out either this morning. Was it this morning,
Yeah, I
right?
was gonna say this one's fresh. I really haven't. I've looked at a couple different articles, but haven't digested everything. But it did just come out a few hours ago, whatever.
Yeah.
That I think it was like the British, I can look at it here, some British medical study, British Medical Journal, took a look at a whole bunch of players. Looking at it here, of 878 players who appeared in at least one NFL game and died in the 6 year period between 2015 and 2021. At least 25% of them had CTE. I think I read somewhere else that the head of this study said that number is way higher. Like that is the floor. That is the utter basement. It is probably much higher. It could be upwards of 90%. They're not sure. I don't know. Again, don't know enough about the study to say why such a discrepancy or why the number could be so wide, but it's probably somewhere, realistically, he said it's probably somewhere in the middle, where you're looking at maybe 60%, 50 to 60% of NFL players playing at least, what was it, 1 year, or one game, just one game, are developing CTE. I guess my question for you, Adam, is does this change anything for the NFL, for the state of football? Will it still be the golden calf that we all bow down to every Sunday? And now, as it expands its calendar throughout the year, will football still have its prominence in American culture after something like this drops?
You saw me. You might have saw me smiling while Andy
I
was
did
reading the
not.
report. While
I
Andy
did
was reading
not.
it, the list, the viewer might have.
Okay.
It's not a laughing matter. However, he was reading off statistics of CTE, and this show is proof positive that both Andy and I are in that percentile. We played high school football, and that was plenty for us to be. This
Oh
show
yeah.
shows we are definitely affected by CTE. Given
And
he can't
people,
come up with
obviously,
he can't come up with
as this
seaboard.
opener demonstrated clearly, I can't say words. Maybe Magoo McGregor
I
grew
was
up playing
just
a
gonna go
lot of
there.
football,
I
and
was just
that's
gonna go
why
there.
she just can't get the. Oh, wow.
Not a laughing matter. CT, not a laughing matter. Although
No.
we'll find a way to laugh about just about anything. Will it change anything about football? There's already been a lot of stories about parents pulling their kids from football and flag football on the rise. I think flag
Yeah.
football will continue to be on the rise, but do I think that football will go away anytime soon? I mean, if you want to define soon, within the next 20, like MMA, this argument has been around the world of sports for quite some time. It's been around boxing forever. Now, boxing has diminished, but what took its place? MMA. You think anything, they still hit each other over the head. They use other
Real
body
hard.
part. They use other
Yeah.
body parts, but
Real
it's
hard.
it's not it's not any different. It's just even more violent, I would say. If you're going to tell me, oh, football might diminish something will come in its place. People love gladiatorial sports, and that's what football is. It's people fighting each other. Um, I think, you know, the NFL, and who knows how, I'm sure they take it seriously, and I'm sure that they're trying some things, but you
They
know,
give a lot of lip service to we're making it the safest game ever. They're trying to get those guys to wear the pillow helmets. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, they've done redesign on helmets as well. Like they're trying to give it lip service, but I mean, come
Well,
on, they'll do a study of guys who played even with those helmets, and all of them are going to have CT as well.
yeah, I mean,
But it because it's all so much after the fact.
it's lip service, but then they do counterproductive things by talking about an 18 game schedule. Now they limit,
Yes,
some of the
exactly.
we talked last week or
That's
the
why
week
it is
before that.
lip service.
We
Like,
talked
what
the
does it
week
actually mean when you're trying to get them to batter and bash themselves into each other even more?
they we talked last week or the week before about how sloppy the first couple games of the season were, and some people attribute to that to the NFL's limits on practice time and the limits on full contact hitting in preseason or in the amount of like summer practices that you can do. You can point to those things and go, "Oh, well, the NFL is trying." I don't, you know, at some point you're creating these limits, or you're trying to do so much that it actually changes the nature of the game. And again, everybody loves football. Like, look at the ratings. People love football. You cannot change the fact that people are going to hit each other in football. And so, will things change, and will the NFL be around in 40 years? I think that could be an argument of like, maybe not. But for the next foreseeable future, I don't think football is going anywhere. And, again, I think you talked about that book that Chuck Klosterman wrote,
I
just
was
like
just going to bring it up.
you're gonna,
Yep.
you know, the amount of time that these things take the amount of time that, let's say, flag football is going to take in order to become the more relevant thing, I think flag football is
It
more
won't
of a
become the more relevant thing. I think it's the substitute for parents who don't want their kids in such a physical or brutal sport. But it's not that, I don't think that's the argument that anybody's making, is that flag football will usurp the NFL. It won't. And I take your point entirely that we're just humans and all humans throughout history, look at any civilization and society, we just like gladiatorial spectacle. That's what we like. We like blood and gore, and we like men going out there and bashing each other's skulls in. Like, we just do this historically. And so I totally take your point that the people who are like bringing the death knell for NFL might be missing the point. Is no. Like, we're okay with this. You can come out with 100% of players are getting CTE and they have that upon their death. Like, doesn't matter. We'll still do it because we're human and we like gladiatorial spectacle. I was going to bring up the counter, though, with that Chuck Klosterman point. There's one, I mean, he talks about that, and he talks about the, kids aren't participating in it as much. And if you want popularity, if you want ratings as adults, usually kids have to participate in the sport, get hooked on the sport. That makes them want to watch into adulthood, have a fandom of a team, all that stuff. So he talks about that point of thing. And he talks about like horse racing used to be the biggest sport in America. I think I read a stat somewhere. It might have been in the book Seabiscuit. Great book. I think Laura Hildebrand. I think in there she wrote that like it was 1937, 1938. There were more in newspaper column inches devoted to Seabiscuit, a horse, than any other figure, including Hitler at that time. And so the popularity of horse racing is something we don't often talk about or like remember, but horse racing was absolutely huge. And now horse racing is dying. And I say that as somebody who actually likes going to the track and watching horse racing, but Arlington Heights closes in Chicago is a beautiful racetrack. The problems that they are having everywhere, the Derby's just kind of losing its luster a little bit. You hear
well,
too many
that's
negative, like
because
nobody pays attention. Nobody
you
pays
know why
attention to
that
all that.
the reason is because Canon and Nikon and Kodak haven't sponsored the photo finishes yet. I mean, if they do
That's right.
that, then we're back, baby.
That's right. That's a callback right there.
Continue on.
So yes, there's precedent. Klosterman makes the point that yes, there's precedent, and sports have died in the past in American history. Horse racing being the most prominent example. Boxing, like you said, being another one. Although great point that MMA kind of slides into that spot that boxing once held, and just as brutal, if not more so, and violent than boxing. The point that I like, I think Klosterman made, I haven't read the book yet. I'm kind of reading different articles where Klosterman's kind of taught, it was Klosterman writing it, but really giving it more of like the Cliff Notes version of his book. He talks about when a sport becomes less about fandom and more about a transaction between what's supposed to be a fan and the player. So what he's getting at here is fantasy football and all of the betting markets, like a Poly market, like a Kalshi. When you make the relationship transactional, it then becomes much more fragile. People aren't going to stick around as much if this was just a pure, like almost like a religious fanaticism that they have for their team. Then you have buy-in long term. You're not leaving no matter what. If it's a transactional relationship, people can kind of walk away. At least that's his argument. Maybe that's true. I would say actually that's one of the stronger arguments for it. Does football fade in the next? And Klosterman's saying, look, this is a decades long process. You're not going to see he doesn't call it the death of football, but you're not going to see the decline of football, the dethroning of football from its perch at the top of the pinnacle of American like attention in sports. You're not going to see that for another 50 years. But I'd say one of the stronger arguments he is making is maybe this whole idea of making everything about betting changes our relationship to sports and makes it a little bit more likely that we're like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore and I'm not very interested.
Yeah, I think that is an interesting point, and I think the NFL is in a pretty good spot. It would seem to me, at least, just looking at it from the outside of they've married the fandom portion with the transactional portion pretty well. Like the right now
I would agree.
the transactional portion doesn't detract from fandom for the majority of people. And in fact, sometimes even enhances it. People like betting on their own team and getting that. Now, I think the in contrast, maybe the NBA is in a little bit of a weirder spot where, and this would be another uh, we reference Brad Breams in every episode, and I think it's really great. I think this is a Brad Breams special of like what has happened to NBA teams and like fandom for specific NBA teams. There's been a
Yeah.
lot of chatter over the past few years of like NBA fans more so like individual players rather than teams just because of the player empowerment movement. And what does that do to, and then and the
But
fan
that ties in with the theory that we've been spouting here is the NBA is no longer a sport, it's a
right,
media entity.
right.
It's all about, and so you have to make it more about the personalities and not so much about the teams. So that totally makes sense. And I think that fits our theory of they're just a media enterprise at this point in time. You're
Well,
selling faces, you just want attention. You're all about social media posts like that. That's what you're doing at
which
this
is
point in
which is
time.
another
And so it makes sense that now it's all about I follow this personality. I don't root necessarily for this team.
which is another interesting like thing to track though too, because the NBA is not as good as the NFL at the fantasy stuff. It's not as good at the transactional stuff. It is good in the
Nobody is.
transactional stuff for the media and the actual transactions in the league, but the relationship between the fan and the sport itself is not as transactional as it is in the NFL. So it's like we're seeing these different leagues operate in culture differently. And obviously, the NBA, we think, is going more towards a just following whatever is relevant media wise. The NFL is going more towards transactional. How can we get the fans involved in the sport? And it's just going to be, it will be interesting as we do this podcast over the next 20 years. We will reference this conversation probably a few times in that 20 years
Every single
of,
episode. Yeah.
hey, let's what is happening to these sports leagues? How do they fit into the larger culture? How do they interact with their fan bases, and seeing how they grow or how they diminish over time?
Yeah. One little side note that adds to that before we got to get to break, but uh, Kalshi just signed independent deals with 5 different Major League Baseball teams. And so everybody's getting it. You're saying the marriage between fandom and the betting markets is probably strongest in the NFL, but all these other sports leagues are taking notice and they're trying to marry and weld the two together as well as yeah, you're a Braves fan, but also get on Polymarket and start making some bets a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
if
what
I
Kalshi and Polymarket are trying to do now with all of these sports leagues. You've seen it in Major League Baseball as well.
two last notes on this before we go to break. One, if I were baseball, I would be very, very careful about the betting stuff and leaning too much towards the NFL. I
Come
think
on,
there's
if I were any sport, I'd be careful. But why are you saying in this particular case?
well, well, I think they've gotten rid of the individual prop bets, which I think are absurd and super
Yes.
dangerous, just all around for both bettors and for
Why
players.
Emmanuel Clase is no longer pitching.
Yeah, I think that part is dangerous just in any sport, but I think baseball specifically and fandom, not that again, we've talked about this. The baseball's in a really good spot in terms of popularity, but it's to me it's a little precarious. And if you start to lean too heavy into this, if what we talked about with NFL, if you go too far towards the transactional, if you're baseball right now, I think you could start losing people. And
Yeah.
I think that like you need to lean into the good things about baseball right now and not try to like add this other thing that could threaten your fan base. That's just
Yeah.
I don't really have any
It,
good
it's
reasoning
no,
behind it other than it on the face of it it seems dangerous to me.
this
More
is a good little
baseball.
teaser. It's actually a good little segue into what we're going to go into after the break with Pablo Torre saying that sports are not inelastic. Like you can lose fans. And so this is a good kind of let's break here, but then we're actually going to return to this a little bit and talking about what Pablo Torre said in his interview.
Well, one last thing on the football piece. I know we
Yeah, go.
keep teasing break, but I think the going way back, the flag football thing, what I've heard is flag football is being introduced at the earlier ages. So like I started playing football when I was like in second grade. I think you'll
Same.
see flag football happen up until maybe eighth grade, but there is still a transition from flag, like people are still going to transition from flag football to real football. And that, I don't think that transition's going
Some,
anywhere anytime
I
soon.
think some people, some regions, you're not going to get rid of it in Texas.
Right. That's what I'm
But I
saying
think
is like for as much as flag football is going to be on the rise, there is still going to be pressure to convert to and
100%.
to transition to football. And that's why it's like, okay, yeah, flag football might be on the rise among a younger group of people, but there's still a moment that they flip and there's still going to be commitment to football,
Yeah.
football.
I think Klosterman, again, I got to read the book, but I think Klosterman makes the point of like it's going to become a not necessarily a niche thing, but like a little bit more regional and divided by class will be another part,
Oh,
another aspect of
that's
this as
another
well.
tease for what we're going to get to in the third half of today's show. All right, let's go to break and we'll be right back. This episode is presented by Legends Attic in Claremont, California for all of your card, memorabilia, and art needs. We just had an event that wasn't publicized, but was a thing at Yamava. It was a Yamava event with Robert Ory to celebrate Kobe
Big shot,
Day.
Bob.
Kobe Day, which was yesterday, 8/24. It is Big Shot Bob's birthday today. Happy birthday, Robert
Hey,
Ory.
happy birthday, Robert.
The next event that Legends Attic has is September 1st. Mike Sosha for Legendary Tuesday at ONT. So make sure to I should be doing that flyer today actually. Make sure to get your tickets at towerbuzzers.com for the final Legendary Tuesday of the season. Again, been a great season at ONT. More stuff coming up. We got LA Card Show at Dodger Stadium on the 12th of September. So we got a lot more things coming down the pike. Make sure to follow us on legends.attic at Instagram and legends.attic.com for all the fun things coming up. And this episode is also brought to you by Oral Hershiser Chevrolet.
Oh, Chevy.
Oral Hershiser Chevrolet at the corner of Riverside and Central in Chino, California. Go to ochevy.com for all of your vehicle needs. I drive an Equinox. I love it. It rides like a dream. It glides down the highway when I'm able to go at any more speed than 25 miles an hour, which is not often.
In
because
LA
the
traffic, which is not
LA
a lot.
traffic,
Yeah.
I hate the 10. So avoid the 10. Let me drive my Equinox. Let me glide down the street. And yeah, that is my plug for Oral Hershiser Chevrolet. Stay off the 10 in LA and stay off the 405 and stay off the 101. There are so many terrible, terrible highways in this city. Wow.
Sounds like you love living in LA, by the way.
Well, I'm moving to Claremont for a reason because I need to stop driving in this city. So, but if you're going to drive a Oral Hershiser Chevrolet. And now back to the show. All right. Because we're limited on time, we're going to save some of the booth stuff that we were going to talk about. Although there was a number of funny things besides Magoo McGregor that have happened in the booth over the last week between JD. There was also a nationally televised game on Fox over the weekend, the Saturday game, where I wanted to point out that.
And who was the other guy? I had not seen him before. He was fine, but I hadn't seen him before.
Well, he made a mistake in the first inning that I thought was hilarious. But that's
I didn't catch it.
I'm extremely picky. I'm going to just do this one. Randy
go.
This was the game that Randy Arozarena hit a home run on the first pitch of the game,
leadoff home run and then a
walk-off home run.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Which Pete had done the exact same thing a week prior, by the way.
Yeah.
PCA had done the exact same thing.
And nobody else had done it in like 30 years.
50 years. Yeah, something insane. Yeah.
He goes, who was the one who gave up the home run though? Was it Shota? Maybe it was Shota. Shota gave up the home run and he goes,
him or David Peterson, right? Oh no, Peterson pitched on Sunday. Yeah.
It might have been David Peterson. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah.
Randy Arozarena gets a home run and then the next three batters go down in order and he goes 1, 2, 3 inning after the home run.
Oh, I didn't catch that one. And no, that's
Again,
That one's bad.
we're throwing stones. We don't care. But for this, longer segment of this show, we are going to talk about Pablo Torre. Was it an article or did he talk about it on his podcast? I'm sure he did.
He
Probably
was
both.
on, I think, like the Daily. The New York Times does like a little video podcast thing. They brought him on to talk about the state of sports. I only caught clips. I caught bits and pieces. Didn't catch quite the whole thing. If you're unfamiliar with Pablo Torre, he was
Yeah.
he's not with ESPN anymore. Wait, go
Going
ahead.
back to last week, our reporting on this show is going to be snippets of information from other people, and we're going to regurgitate it on this podcast. Go ahead.
100%. I mean, that's what you do as a media personality. Is this person said this? Now let's talk about it for 30 minutes. So, if you're unfamiliar with Pablo Torre, really smart guy. I like Pablo Torre. I wouldn't say this was his best interview necessarily, but a couple of the topics that he brought up were very interesting. Kind of want to hit on those. Two things that he said here in this New York Times interview. The first one is he's kind of asking a question. He goes, "Will fans pay anything?" Back up, umbrella. The point of the podcast is really talk about like the economics of sports in general, like all of them. Like, does this economic model work for sports? And I'm going to give in a second, like the Lakers valuation is one case in point where it's like, whoa, this is unsustainable. You can't just keep inflating a franchise's valuation when they're like outpacing their revenue by 20 times or something. The first question he asks, or one of the questions he asked on here, I want to talk about this one first, is will fans pay anything? Because right now, I like two phrases he said. He goes, we're pressure testing this. We keep raising prices for absolutely everything. We're raising prices for tickets. We're raising prices for merchandise. We're raising prices for food at the game. We are raising just prices across the board, and the cost to be a fan, even a fairly passive fan who is only watching stuff on TV, let's say, that cost is becoming a lot higher for everybody. And so the bar has been raised a little bit. If you want to be a fan, you got to clear this bar. That's what sports is kind of doing right now. The phrase again is, we're pressure testing this. Will fans pay anything? He says, we're in the early innings of this, seeing if this is really the case that people will pay anything. Will they? I mean, his answer, his question is, will fans pay anything? Or is this whole, it's getting kind of expensive to be a fan, will it actually have a ton of negative effects on sports in general?
Oh, am I answering the question now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's the second one. I mean, we got two questions from Pablo that he raises on this podcast. The first one here is, will fans pay anything? Because right now we're really kind of stress testing this.
It's amazing. I'll just say this. It's amazing to me the amount of money that fans do pay already.
Yes. It's absurd.
I don't think that I have paid to go to a sports game in years. Now, I'm lucky enough where I get tickets given to me and I'll go. But and we haven't done the podcast. Maybe we should do that next week. We should do the podcast of best in-game experiences and best in-person versus television experiences.
Fill up airtime. Put it on the list.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't even like going to football games, like NFL football games anymore. I don't like. One, the prices that I've seen are outrageous, and I like just the experience of being there. I don't think fits the price. So in a sense, it's like, I want to say no, they won't pay anything, but evidence suggests that people are paying up the wazoo. Again, we always fall on the unpopular side of every single topic, and we're poo-pooing the.
That's who we are. That's why we don't have any friends. That's why we're doing a podcast together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People go. We reference friends. They're all imaginary. Joey's not real.
Absolutely. All right. We have a friend named Joey and Steven.
Grant.
And we have cousins named Matthew and Jessica.
They don't listen. They're real, but they don't listen. So, and they're stuck with us because they're family. the evidence suggests like people are willing to spend these crazy amounts of money, and we're just either cheap or just Debbie Downers. So I think there will come a tipping point. I just don't know when that will be. And there's an interesting
Yeah.
parallel here.
Well, as Pablo said, we might just be in the early innings of it, and let's let this play out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting parallel here between this conversation and the conversation that's happening with movie theaters that's been relevant to kind of I work in the entertainment industry, and this has been kind of an ongoing conversation with all the changes happening in all the studios of just like movie ticket prices are outrageous, and people are going to the movie theater less, and that is a function. There's two sides. There's two factors. One, Hollywood isn't producing necessarily as many movies that go to theaters, but also the price of the theaters is also too high. There has been talk about how movie theaters are going to be more of an experience and that they're going to change in terms of like less seating, but an elevated experience. And I've always thought that that is a possibility for sports as well. Is there's going to be less there these stadiums are going to shrink, or they're not going to shrink in physical size, but the number of seats far into the future. This is like I think this could be a possibility a little bit
This is
further
on
in
the
the
same
future.
Chuck Klosterman football fades in 50-year timeline.
Yeah, something maybe not 50 years, but there could be a version of like less seats in stadiums, but more elevated, much more of an elevated experience when you do go to the stadium. So like, for example, everybody being in some sort of suite environment instead of
Yeah.
getting packed into rows of people. Um, Again, that's going to take quite a bit, but that's it. It's just there's been a. It's not just sports that we're talking to about this. There's the movie aspect of it too, and I don't see how fans can keep up.
I'm going to disagree. I don't think you're going to see smaller stadiums. I think, again, as a sports franchise, one of your goals, your main goal is to make money in all of this. And they still realize that butts and seats makes a lot of money. So I still think you're going to get the bigger stadiums. But what they're doing right now is saying, how high can we jack up these prices on these seats and still get butts in them? That's kind of that stress or pressure testing that Pablo Torre is talking about right now. We are a little bit in the early stages of this where it's like, hey, we're going to keep jacking up ticket prices. How high will we go before we hit a little bit of a regression where we get a little bit less attendance, reduction in attendance? And we're not there yet. I mean, this is like the whole, you've already said it, but this is the whole like Derek Thompson, here's how to do good journalism school here is put two truths right next to each other and see how they can both be true at the same time. It is both true that ticket prices are through the roof and the fan experience, whether you're going to the game, even all the outside stuff around the game, is very, very expensive right now. And so that's truth A. And truth B is attendance is still really high. Like,
Right.
no, everybody's still going to, and NFL games sell out. Major League Baseball's attendance is very, very good and has been for about 5 years now. And so you have these two things. Things are really, really expensive and people are paying it. And then what Derek Thompson would then do is how can both of these things be true at the same time? That's kind of where we're at. And I, to be honest, because I'm not a professional journalist, nor am I as good as Derek Thompson and never will be, but it's like, how do you explain those two things? I don't have a good answer. I don't know. I'm with you that there has to eventually be a rubber meets the road situation. There are crossroads or whatever phrase you want to use here of people got to realize I might go to one game a year and that's really all we can afford and start kind of you budget for that and then you just don't go outside of that. And will that drive attendance down? I don't know. The part that I'm getting to the whole how do you explain this Derek Thompson style is there's just a lot of people in the world in general. And there are a lot of people who live, since we're talking about the American sports landscape, there's a lot of people who live in the United States of America.
Mm,
And so even if we're only going to one or two Cubs games a year. Yet so are like 300 other million people in the United States. Like Wrigley, I think attendance is what always like around 3 million, 3 to 4 million, somewhere in there every single year. Cool. That's a drop in the bucket. Like there are plenty of people out there. And until you get a population decline, which has a whole host of other problems that we're not going to talk, we need to get Brad Breams in on
No,
here and talk
no,
about all of this.
we need the equivalent of the Japanese bad Brad Breams to come on and talk to us about that because
Yeah,
that
population decline, population bomb.
yeah.
Yeah, Japan's a great example. Thailand's
I
actually
wouldn't
way
use the
worse
word
off. I read it
bomb.
a stat, huh?
I wouldn't use the word bomb. So
That
when
with
it
the
comes to
Japanese, a little bit
Japanese,
touched it, but no, like literally, it is a demographic or human geography to like a population bomb went off where like the
you
pyramid
keep
is inverted in
you
Japan.
keep saying
It's the same.
bomb.
It's okay, whatever. I'm moving on. I saw a stat that Thailand is actually way worse off than even Japan. I think they have like 64-ish, mid 60 million people in Thailand. In 100 years, they'll have 2 million people, not two people.
I
That
was
would
gonna
be
say
back to
two
an Adam and
people.
Eve situation there. But there are 2 million people. If fertility rates stay at the same time, I don't know how this podcast went from sports to demographics. The whole point is there's a lot of stinking people in the United States. And if they're only going to one game a year, that's a lot of people that can kind of cycle through stadiums still. And until you get let's say a population decline generally in the population, that then you're not going to be hurt economically. So I think that's why these sports franchises can start ramping up the price, is because there is a massive, massive market out there. Not only domestic market in the United States, but all of these sports and all of these franchises inside of these sports are going global. They're a global brand, and we just keep making people. The number is 8 billion, and it just keeps ticking up every single second. So there's plenty of people out there. There are plenty of eyeballs. There are plenty of people who will buy tickets
Yeah,
and merch and
it's an
all this
interest.
stuff.
I mean, we got to get to the second question of Pablo, but it's an interesting thing of like, again, you and I don't necessarily want to go to all these sporting events, but there are people, there's a large population of people who do. And it'd be interesting to dig into why that is. I think we talked on a previous episode about, ratings being up across the board. And there's some problems with how people are measuring ratings now. But one of the theories that I posited was that people just want to feel part of a community. I think that could play a factor into why people
There have
want
been
to.
plenty of articles. I've seen a couple on the Atlantic of saying like sports is a new religion.
Yeah.
It really you become part of a tribe. You are in an in group. Like that's what it has become. Yeah.
So there may be a communal aspect to why people are willing to pay more to go to sporting games. There could be a status thing. Who knows? It could. As with most things, it's not just ever one thing. It's a
No,
confluence of things that
multi
play.
calls are multi-dimensional. Yeah.
There are a lot of factors that play in, but the community aspect I think does play a pretty significant role in just like people's willingness to shell out money to be a part of these events.
Yeah.
Go on to the second question.
Second question was, and they're related here, but the second question, he had this phrase is sports fandom is not inelastic. Um, it's not a fixed thing. What he's really getting at is people can leave. And right now, sports franchises, they believe that it is inelastic, that people will not leave no matter what. And he goes, that is a very naive position. Um, he floats the question, and I've never even heard this phrase this way, but it's a good question. Is sports a bubble? We always talk about bubbles in market terms. AI is a bubble right now, but he's saying, is sports a bubble? Have we overpriced everything in sports. And the example, like I said, he gave was the Laker valuation at $12.5 billion. That is 20 times more than their revenue. Even if you can find some revenue gains, you're not going to make up, even if you go 3 times your revenue, you're still not making back that what you invested in this for over a decade. Like, some of this stuff is just way overpriced. And you can't, even though I just said there's plenty of people, there's a massive market out there, both domestically and globally. Pablo's asking the question, how much room is there really to grow for sports? And if you can't grow, how are you ever going to make your money back? So starting again at the top is sports is not inelastic. Is sports a bubble then?
I try not to disagree with people who are smarter than me, and Pablo Torre is definitely smarter than me, but I am
Yeah.
going to disagree on this part. Only because of
Okay.
something that you said in an answer to the previous question, which is if you if you see sports becoming a religion, religion is not a bubble.
Yeah.
Religion
And religion is inelastic.
eh,
You don't leave.
for the majority
It
of
is
people, you don't
fixed.
leave religion.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going like the again, culturally it seems to me, and we're this podcast is too serious, but we sometimes we just get while we're wandering around in the desert.
We're gonna
Bounce,
finish with a very brief Javi Assad
oh,
nod. So
we'll get
it's
back to
gonna be not as serious
the
in a second after you
whimsical.
get out of this point. But go ahead.
We'll get back to the whimsical in a second. But again, culturally, it just seems to me that we're in a weird spot where while how do I want to say this? It's just it seems to me that sports is taking on a larger meaning than it ever has in
Mm.
the wider culture, and
Mm.
it is becoming inelastic to the point of one. Again, we've talked about it. Is like attendance is still really good, and viewership is still really good. Now you can quibble with the numbers of viewership, but it does seem to be growing. It does seem to like revenue seems to be growing for all these sports. Now, what is that? What is that a sign of? One, your audience could be growing, or two, the audience that you already have is just consuming more of it, right? And so that you talk about if these sports leagues can convert their fan bases to become devotees or become believers in the religious terminology, then you're going to have stable income or you're going to have
Yeah.
stable revenue over the years, and you don't necessarily have to worry about the $12.5 billion purchase of the Lakers. If NBA continue if the NBA continues to grow on the trajectory that it is, just in terms of maybe not in terms of fans watching the games, but in terms of media revenue, that investment will pay off.
I was gonna say, even if they have to wait, yeah, yes, revenue will grow, and even if they have to wait another decade, great. They're gonna reap the reward. They're gonna get their money,
And
and then they're gonna turn around and sell it for more.
this is a function again. There's a lot going on here, but there's a function too of just like what's important in culture, and like content right now is everything. That's why we're doing a podcast. That's not why we're doing a podcast. But in terms
Yeah,
of
that's
like
part of why we're doing a podcast. But yeah,
media, like with the way that things are going and the technological advances and ever going back to we're going to go Neil Postman here, but going back to the invention of the television, we're more and more of our time is taken up by what is shown to us on our phone, like a little prop here as we go, and we just are consumed by media. Media
yeah.
rights is the most important thing for all of these leagues, and that's the most valuable thing for all of these leagues. And you know, we talk about baseball and the importance of the next CBA and how they can't screw this up because their media rights deal is up in 2027. And believe me, if they don't go on strike, that media rights deal is going to be huge. It's going to be really
Buku
big.
bucks.
The
Yeah,
NBA media deal was massive, and it's just
yeah.
like the amount of money being spent on media right now is insane. And that's where if you feed people, like if media is the manna, you're feeding people exactly what they want, and they're going to keep coming back, and they're going to keep coming back, and they're going to keep coming back because you have the thing that nourishes them. And that's how religions are built.
Yeah. I don't disagree with anything you say. I mean, I also kind of agree with your disagreement of Pablo Torre saying, no, 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 no. I think this is a little bit more of a fixed relationship than you realize. And it's, again, to your point of we're kind of searching for something. I think culturally, we're looking for something that's a little more stable, a little bit more fixed. That's not, we got rid of religion a long time ago with Nietzsche and the death of God. This is getting very deep here in this podcast. But politics is not that answer for us. I mean, a lot of people still are obsessed and addicted to politics, yes. But the thing that has been fixed and the thing that actually is a unifying factor in culture and has been for about 100 years is sports. And so I think because of that stability that sports offers, because it does offer a lot of the things that traditionally religion has offered, like I said, an in group, you are part of a tribe, you believe in something, there is a unified identity right there. You have a goal as a group as well. I think it because it offers all of those things, people are in. And once they're in, as you just said, once they're in, they're in. They're in.
Eh,
And so I don't think it's as I think it is not elastic. It is inelastic, contra what Pablo Torre is saying here. And so
And
I do think that, yeah,
this might be a bridge too far, but like, and just to why when we say sports, I think what I mean by sports, and maybe you could take it a step further and broadening out a little bit even more, is just like entertainment. People's relationship to entertainment is not inelastic. Like
no,
entertainment has been around for ages, and people are
yeah.
always going to want entertainment. You look at during the Great Depression in America,
People,
what still was doing pretty well?
people still going to
Entertainment.
movies.
People were still going to movies. Like,
Yeah.
and again, this might
It
be
it
taking it
is a recession and depression proof industry,
and
is the media industry.
going back to, I mean,
We
again,
need it as much as we need food.
this might be going a step too far again, but like, what did the Roman emperors do when things were going kind of bad? They would throw games in which their
Yeah.
gladiators would beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Like, this is the answer to most problems in society is let's just entertain them.
We're going to commission that study of looking at social tension, the kind of relationship between social tension and our reliance on sports. I would imagine the more social tension there is, here's my hypothesis for our study, the more social tension there is, the more people actually gravitate towards sports. The numbers are through the roof, both
That's
attendance
when
and viewership ratings. People love sports because it is a stabilizing factor.
we need when we hire our Secretary of Education. That's something. I mean, when we bring in our cabinet, our Secretary of Education is going to do a a thesis paper, a doctoral
Yeah.
dissertation
There we go.
on Magoo McGregor here reporting on what our Secretary of Education is going to do. But they're going to do a study on like social events and sporting events that kind of sporting events bring us out of a social crisis. I don't know. There could be something there.
We're gonna end, like I said, dangled a little Javi Assad note here. We are gonna there were some funny things that happened in the booth, Boog and JD, and we do need to get to that because there's a funny Chad Godin story in there. A good line by JD, but then I'm gonna take it a little bit further a little bit. But on the game the other day or yesterday, it was yesterday from when we're recording this. There was like a tweet, and the tweet is nothing. It's insubstantial. I think it was even about Michael Conforto, but the name, because sometimes the marquee broadcast, Cubs broadcast, and I'm sure other broadcasts do this as well, is like, oh, they'll see the fans are tweeting about the Cubs and everything, and they'll tweet at marquee and everything. So they'll put the tweet up on the broadcast. And so They posted some guy's tweet, and again, it was about Michael Conforto, I think. I can't remember the tweet, but the name on the tweet, the guy's handle was, I believe it was Daniel, was the guy's name. Daniel, parentheses, Javier Assad truther.
Yeah.
I
Great-
didn't even know this
great
was
handle.
a thing that you can be a truther about a player. And I'm not entirely sure I even know what it means, but I am too.
Yes.
I think you are as well.
Oh yeah.
We are both Javi Assad truthers.
We say this.
What does a Javi Assad truther mean?
We say this while Javier Assad is back down at AAA.
Down in AAA. Why?
No
and they
one
explained it on the broadcast is like it's just a business thing. He's the only one that has options left, that he's the only one that you can send down to AAA. He is our best pitcher.
Yeah.
And we are shuttling him down to Iowa every other week.
I want to go on a road trip with Javier Assad from Chicago to Iowa. I want to hear him after he pitches 5 2/3 of scoreless baseball and he gets out of 4 jams. I want to be in the car. I want to be in the car when he's driving back to Iowa because I want to just hear his frustration and what he has to say, because it's getting, again, I still seem to think that like they kind of know, but man, keep that guy on the team, please.
Good God. Edward
So
Cabrera
reliable.
loads the bases in the 3rd inning. No outs. Javier Assad comes in, gets out of the bases loaded jam, and then pitches a scoreless 5 other innings. Javi, thank you so much for your service. We're sending you back down to AAA every other week.
This is we need to write a letter. I don't know who to.
Dear Craig and Jed and Nick Frangella and Dan Kiermaier and anybody else in the Cubs organization, we are the voice of the Javier Assad truthers. Can you please treat this man with some dignity and respect that he deserves?
I have an idea. Idea. We're going to get to our credits in just a second, and that's where I'm going to spring on you our idea, on my idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all you have on the Javier Assad front?
That's all I got. I mean,
for now, I know you could go on for an hour
this one, but I want to know, who else are you a truther about? Like any sport where it's just like, because I'm assuming what truther means in this context is the metrics might be telling one story and the product on the field is telling a completely different story. It's like people are like, he shouldn't be good. He's not that good. No. He's amazing. He is the best. That's where I'm at with Javi Assad. The metrics don't like Javi.
I'm not going to.
But Javi wins.
I'm not
and
going.
He's pitching 5 2/3 every time he goes out there scoreless. I don't care what the metrics say. When he pitches, we win.
I'm not going.
So I want to know, what other guys you got on that list of who else are you a truther for? And I'm going to give you an example so that you can think about it and prep for next week. And it can be a current player or a previous player. As you can see from my example that I'm going to give is Chris Coghlan. Chris Coghlan. I am a Chris Coghlan truther. If you don't know who Chris Coghlan is, former left fielder for the Chicago Cubs on the World Series team, started a few games in left field in that World Series. Chris Coghlan was a great player.
I'm not going to explain what a truther is to you because I probably would get it wrong, and I'd probably explain it wrong because I'm the wrong person to ask about modern terminology. Who am I a truther? Who am I a truther of?
Yeah. You got to come up with your list, and you're going to drop that next week.
Okay, good, because I need to come up with my list.
We're going to explode those all next week.
The only thing I'll say about Chris Coghlan, what I will be a truther about Chris Coghlan, he did start the
didn't wear a shirt under his jersey, nor did he button up his jersey. Loved it.
Yeah.
He was letting everybody know he was going commando. It was almost like he wasn't wearing a shirt on the field. It was great. What were you going to say?
No, that was it. You stole it. Yes. Again, you stole my thunder all the time. I'm just gonna go ahead and let people behind the curtain here. I scoffed in the middle of this one for two reasons. One, Andy always steals my point before I'm able to make it because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I do
just
as an
the
older
older
brother.
he's the older brother who just says, I'm not listening to my younger brother. I'm gonna make the point. And two,
Absolutely.
Andy has this weird pattern of talking where he pauses in between phrases and he doesn't leave enough time. Like he will pause and it's such a long pause that I think I have to fill it. And so I will try to jump in, but then he'll start talking as soon as I start talking.
Yeah, it's only because you start talking. Yeah.
This podcast, I'm sure, is this
Is it?
podcast, I'm sure, is an amazing listen. Is an amazing listen, given how much Andy interjects and how we just overlap on each other.
Oh, it's
But
terrible. I
you know
talk over
what?
you all the time.
We're not going to
We
stop.
got 20 years to figure this out, man.
We're not figuring it out. This is just what it is. So,
It's a long, slow burn.
for the listener,
The
just get used
trajectory,
to it.
it's a 2-degree angle. We're on a long, slow upward trajectory. It actually might be a downward trajectory, but whatever. We got a long time.
Well,
Get us out of here with the credits.
you have wasted another probably an hour at least
Sorry.
listening to this podcast. Again,
Yeah.
why do you always apologize? It's their fault if they've listened to this whole thing. Our executive producers are Eddie, the head of the Jackson Dart and Anne Hathaway Social and Pleasure Club. Alizadeh, he did mention to me, he's like, I did listen to the credits last week and you forgot Anne Hathaway. I liked that part of it. And so I'm reintroducing Anne Hathaway. He is the head of both the Jackson Dart and Anne Hathaway. And
Eddie,
by the
we
way,
apologize for everything that's happening on this show.
those
Everything.
those social and pleasure clubs are both separate entities. He's head of
Yes.
both of those, but then there's
Yeah,
also
yeah, yeah.
there's also a combined entity, a combined
Jackson Dart and Anne Hathaway.
cross section, People
So we
who
got a
like both
Venn
of them.
diagram.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart over here, Anne Hathaway over here. Where's the overlap? Those are some special people, by the way.
And Eddie's the head of all three of those entities on the Venn diagram. Our other executive producer is Christian Two Short Shorts, quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth Alizadeh. Our, our producer is Philip Airtime. Our researchers are Anita Lotmore and Dustin Shelves. I don't have the credits pulled up because I'm still working on this set and I'm going to eventually do some stuff that's going to help me with some of this organizational stuff. But our hygiene director is Anita Bath. The head of our romantic movie division is Hey, Would You Cuddle Me? Our staff therapist is Anita Kiss. No, Amanda Hug and Kiss. I'm just screwing up the names because I don't have it in front of me.
Hot dog contest representative.
There we go. Our hot dog eating
I'll
contest
pull it up for you.
representative is Eaton Doolittle. I could steal
Station
stuff.
foot. Now that I'm actually looking at them, usually I just let you just rattle them off here. Station fundraiser, Fat Chance.
Fat Chance, that's correct. Fat Chance.
That's a good one.
Um,
Head of
and
the intern training. I like the head of the internship training program, Luke Busy.
Luke Busy. And our dermatologist for teenagers is Don Pickett. Our secretary of
poor guy.
transportation is Harrison Bader. He's not getting paid yet, by the way. We hired him, but it was on the condition of like
You cannot get in a scooter accident. And what does he do? The very first night he signs the contract, scooter accident, runs into a fire truck.
And I'm proud to announce that we are offering. This is my idea. We're offering a job to Javier Assad. We are offering FEMA director to Javier Assad. He is going to be the
I
guy
love it.
who's going to come
I don't
in.
think the FEMA director is not a cabinet position. I know
No,
you just want to
it's
start
not.
filling cabinet positions. You just dangled ahead like the Department of Education head. Like,
Well, we don't. I don't have
FEMA's not a department, but we do need to fill a whole bunch of agencies, and FEMA being a very important one of them because he comes in and he cleans up disasters.
I
for
think
sure.
I think Javier Assad would be great in the FEMA director role.
Yes.
So not only are we going to fill a cabinet, we're also going to appoint agency heads, and we
Yep.
would like to formally offer Javier Assad the role of FEMA director.
Yeah.
Again, thanks for listening. This has been another episode of the Basement Podcast. Thank you, Legends Attic and Oral Hershiser Chevrolet for sponsoring. We'll be back next week.